The Herta, big Herta is finally here. We're going to be speculating what I think her kit's gonna be, her role in the meta, her relics, her best teammates, and all of that. I am very, very excited. She looks absolutely amazing if she wasn't running right next to Agalia, but that is for a different day. Let's talk about the Herta. So what exactly do we know about the Herta? Well, not much from these drip marketings. We know that she is a 5-star Ice Erudition unit, and that's pretty much it. People have been speculating for about a year that she is actually the Emanator of Erudition. What does that mean? Essentially, she draws power from the god of erudition. For reference, Acheron is the Emanator of Nihility, and she is absolutely busted both in the game and in lore. So that kind of gives us a reference to how strong the Herta may be. Now, I think she's actually going to be a main DPS, and I say that because we actually got a little, very little tiny hint of what may come with the Herta in the new relic set, Lost in Erudition. Scholar, Lost in Erudition, Erudition, the Herta, the Emanator of Erudition. You know, very similar. And the HSR devs really like to, drop a relic set before a character releases. Not all the times, but sometimes for their new upcoming character. And I do believe that the Herta is going to be using this set, as primarily this set is really used on the older DPSs and not so much, the likes of Facial, Acheron, who else, Rappa. They don't really use this set. So for the newest DPS, who I think is going to be the Herta, she's going to be on this set. But if she is the Emanator of Erudition, let's kind of talk about what it means to be an Emanator. And the only person that we have who is an Emanator is Acheron. When Acheron released, she was incredibly broken. The game was catering to her. But as we moved away from that, we really started to see a lot of her problems. And I really hope that the Herta doesn't suffer in the same way that Acheron does. For reference, Acheron without her light cone is pretty difficult to play. The main way that Acheron deals her damage is by her ult. If Acheron can't stack those debuffs, she can't ult. And Acheron, for some reason, at E0, S0, just isn't good for stacking. She isn't good at getting those debuffs for her ultimate. And it's just so unfortunate that she relies so much on her teammates who at the time weren't, like, we had Pela and we had Gallagher. Unless you vertically invest in her, getting her to E2, S1, or just the S1, she can really struggle with getting her ult. And then even in order to keep up with the meta now, she needs Jiao Shou, which is, you need another premium unit for Acheron to even really be playable, which should not be the case for an Emanator, for someone who should be very, very strong. So I really hope that Herta doesn't suffer from the same mistakes that Acheron does. I do think that it'd be really cool if all of the Emanators did, have a stacking ult, and that's something that's just unique to them. But in terms of efficiency, I really, really hope that the Herta is a much more self-contained unit. It's great if she has these great allies to help her stack, but she should be able to stack her ult on her own without any issues to get her damage off. I also don't think that she's going to be a summon unit, just because now I think they're going to fully dedicate that to the Remembrance path. I know that that wasn't really a thing when Jing Yuan came out, but I don't think that she's going to be a summon unit. And I really don't think that they would put 2 summon DPSs on the same banner at the same time, or, one after the other, the same patch. I don't think they do that. That's like if they put Boot Hill and Firefly on the same patch, or Face Shout and Dr. Ratio. Imagine they put Dr. Ratio and Face Shout on the same banner. Nobody's gonna pull for Ratio, but what if they put the Herta and Argindi on the same banner? Man, that's such a feels bad. That's like in Genshin Impact, they put Arlecchino and Lenny on the same banner. Nobody pulled for Lenny. R.I.P. my boy, but okay. Oh yeah, I guess they did put Acheron, and then the next, the second half was Jing Liu, and nobody put for Jing Liu. So I don't think that the Herta is gonna be a summon unit alongside Agalia. So I think she's just going to be a standard erudition crit DPS based unit. Now, the fact that she is erudition units are typically AoE focused units. However, her being an Emanator like Acheron, she'll probably excel in both single target and AoE, but I do hope that they kind of preference her to AoE, make her the AoE god. if she does have like a stacking ult, I would assume that with erudition, you know, the units that are focused on hitting a lot of enemies at once, that maybe she'll gain stacks based on the amount of enemies that she hits in one turn, or like if her allies hit multiple enemies in one turn, she gains stacks based off of that. And then after she uses her ult, she uses her enhanced skill. If we are, you know, basing this off of the new erudition set, that I really think that she's going to use, because they wouldn't just drop. First off, I don't think they would call it Scholar Lost in Erudition if this wasn't going to be made for the Erudition Emanator. That would just be really stupid. I kind of do like the Emanators all having a stacking ult and their entire kit being based on that. You know, Acheron does also stack her Slash Dream as well. So they could have very similar kits, but still excel in different fields. You feel me? You know, there's also one other thing too, if she is an Emanator, you know, if she is going to share some similarities to Acheron, and that's Acheron's stupid Abyss trait, where she requires 2 units of the same path in order to really excel off of her own damage. Once again, Acheron is just so reliant on her teammates that it kind of makes Acheron by herself really weak. I hope that, well, I guess if you're drawing power from your path, you probably would want to be surrounded by units of that path. Well, hopefully, if the Herta does need, you know, 2 other erudition units, they're not like the ones that are out aren't anti-synergistic with her. Because with Acheron, we just got Black Swan, and we also had Kafka before, and nobody's really running Doctrine, okay? It's just not very good. We run Pela for the defense shred and the defense down, and Zhao Shou for all of the debuffs that he can apply. I guess now we can kind of start talking about her teams. I feel like Jade just has to be one of her best teammates. Jade kind of released in a very wonky spot. You know, she was released in a time where break and follow-up attack was being focused, but Jade kind of doesn't really slot into the IPC all too well. Like the IPC or the Fart team is set in stone, and Jade was kind of just like a pure fiction afterthought. So as of right now, with Jade being a very good sub DPS, I feel like she needs to be paired with her own dedicated main DPS, and I feel like the Herta and her should go really well with each other. Now, as for the second unit, Himiko, possibly, you know, you run the Herta, you run Jade, and Himiko, who you can get for free if you decide to use your Astro Express ticket on her. If not, then 4-star Herta, right? We can't not use the Herta and not be able to use the 4-star Herta alongside each other. So I feel like already the Herta does have some pretty synergistic teammates as long as they work well with her kit already. You know, I really just hope that we don't have to pull, you know, like 2 more units just to make the Herta work, and that the Herta is amazing with already existing units that would just need, you know, like a rerun, and hopefully she just works with the units that we have already. I really hope that she just doesn't require, you know, 2 erudition units at all. That'd be wonderful. That'd be like the best case scenario, and you just should pair her up with like, you know, Jade or Himiko, and not, you know, 2 erudition units and then a sustain. Hopefully the Herta, Himiko, 4-star Herta, and a sustain is perfectly fine to just 1 or 2 cycle the I guess pure fiction. No, both. She's an Emanator. Hopefully, you know, she excels in pure fiction, but is able to still have really good clears inside the MOC. Hopefully you won't need like, you know, the Herta, Himiko, Jade, and then this new preservation unit that's going to work really well with erudition units. And well, okay, I guess Lingsha exists, but like hopefully Fu Xuan is okay. Huo if she, no, not Huo. Who's another one? Fu Xuan, Leocha, you know, hopefully, you know, Leocha makes a comeback and works well with, you know, the Herta. What I'm trying to say is, if you're somebody who likes the erudition units, hopefully if you get the Emanator, you already have units that work really well alongside her and are her best in slot, and not some new erudition unit that they just, you know, decide to drop on us for fun. Holy crap, even looking at it now, erudition units, there really isn't that many options. Genuine is summon, Argenti maybe, Rappa's break. So that kind of only leaves Jade, the Herta, and Servo, really. I'm not pronouncing her name QQ. I think that's what people call her, QQ. Oh, wow, that is, yeah, I hope that the Herta works well with, you know, pretty much any of these units. Okay, now let's actually get into some of her light cone options. Go to erudition, there still aren't that many options. Okay, so I don't think she's going to be break focused. If she's follow up, maybe if her attacks deal follow up, then Jade's light cone maybe won't be, no, because it's basic attack. If it's based off of her ult, I guess the defense ignore would be pretty nice, but maybe not best in slot. Argenti's light cone increases the wearer's crit damage by 36%. When the wearer uses ultimate, increases damage by the wearer's ultimate based on their max energy. If she does stack with her ult and like she doesn't use energy, that's obviously going to be useless. But the 36% crit damage may not be, too bad. And if she does use energy, this could be a pretty good option too. Eternal Calculus most likely going to be, a decent option for her. These pretty much have always been pretty good. Himiko's light cone for every enemy on the field increases the wearer's attack by 9% up to 5 stacks. When an enemy is inflicted with weakness break, the damage dealt by the wearer increases by 30%. Honestly, if she runs with Himiko and she's in pure fiction when there's always 5 units, this could also be pretty good. Before the dawn, no, that's most likely gonna have to do with a summon. Yep, there it is. Let's see, the 4-star one's birth. She has to use the 4-star Herta's light cone as well. I don't care, that just makes sense. Follow-up attack damage, maybe her damage will be considered follow-up attack. That could also greatly open up her relics. But I am getting kind of tired of everything being follow-up attack based, but who knows, because we already have the summons, which is follow-up attack damage as well, so maybe they'll switch it up and she won't be follow-up attack based. Repose might be a good option, increases the wearer's attack by 16%. When the wearer defeats an enemy, the wearer's crit damage increases by 24% for 3 turns. This could be really good in pure fiction for the weaker enemies. And then when we have the elites, we'll already have that crit damage buff stacked. So I feel like this could be actually a pretty good option, to be honest. After the Charmony Falls is break related, and I don't think that she's just gonna be break based. I just don't think so. So for Lycos, it's kind of tough. Most of these are follow attack based. Erudition kind of has a mix of everything. You got break, you got follow up, bit of summon, energy, break. So it's kind of like, thinking about it now, maybe she will be like, her damage will count as follow up attacks, just given how much follow-up attack is in Erudition. I kind of hope that she doesn't become like a follow-up attacker in like that archetype where her damage counts as follow-up, because we've kind of been getting a lot of those. I mean, summon counts as follow-up, and then we just had fart, which is follow-up. Thankfully, we got Rappo, who is break, so that kind of gives us a break. So hopefully they have some kind of workaround where she still uses, Jade, Himiko, but she's not like restricted to the follow-up sets. I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully her signature light cone isn't too strong, but they always like to make those fixes. As long as it's not like an Acheron situation where she's really dependent on her light cones, then I think you'll be okay. All right, let's talk about her relics. Scholar Lost in Erudition increases crit rate by 8%, increases damage dealt by skill and ultimate by 20%. After using an ult, additionally increase the damage dealt by the next skill by 25%. So skill, ult, skill. I'd be really surprised if the Herta didn't use the set. Kind of seems like it was made for her. But of course, if she's follow-up attack based, or I highly doubt she'll be break based, but then this set would be good. If not, then she'll most likely be using what? The different follow-up attack sets that we have available. The Grand Duke. Maybe we'll even bring back the, the Hunter set, increases ice damage by 10%. After the wearer uses their ultimate, their crit damage increases by 25% for 2 turns. This could also be a pretty good set for her as well. The same set that Jingliu uses. I guess Jingliu also uses the new Erudition set. So between either the ice or even the Erudition set, I feel like that's going to be the way. If she's follow-up attack, then, probably the Ash Blazing Grand Duke. Or maybe if her attacks count as follow-up, then, Mask of the Northern Skies could also be good as well. Now, as for planar sets, I feel like this is actually going to be pretty easy since she's most likely going to be on a team with Jade and Herta or Himiko as well. Then when an ally uses a follow-up attack, the wearer gains 1 stack of merit, stacking up to 5 times. Each stack of merit increases the damage dealt by the wearer's follow-up attacks by 5%. When there are 5 stacks, additionally increase the wearer's crit damage by 25%. The Durance Tent of Golden Sky. this set will most likely be her best in slot unless they come out with a new one for her. I don't think they will, considering, yeah, she's not gonna run loose Shaka whatsoever. I was trying to think, since this is the new set, that maybe the non-summon one would be good for her, but since it's Lushaka, she's not gonna run this. That's kind of it though. Overall, I really hope that HSR does not power creep her in the same way that they did with Acheron, or especially how fast they did. You know, Acheron was really boosted up in the beginning, but as soon as they turned off those buffs, we really saw just how vulnerable she was. It's not being that great. I hope when Herta releases, she's very, very strong for the entirety of version 3. I hope when she comes out, she's able to use Jade, Himiko, or 4-star Herta. I hope that she stays this powerhouse for the entire version, because really her design is great. Her lore is most likely going to be really cool, and she's kind of been hyped up for a while now, but we finally have the Herta. Big Herta is finally here. I'm very excited. Hopefully we get a lot more in the near future about the Emanator of Air Edition. I hope you guys all enjoyed. I hope you win your 50/50s, and I'll see you in the next one.